Hello and welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot. Today we're doing a Soulmate Snapshot, which you guys will probably have guessed because I did a card of the day. I'm just going to go ahead and admit that I can't ever not come on and at least see what's going on with the energy, because it seems like every time I schedule one of those days where I'm just going to put out a message today. I'm going to do a card of the day. I'm not going to do a full reading. On those days, that's where I wake up with like that crazy jagged energy where I just have to understand what's happening there. And that's what happened again today. I did get one email overnight saying that somebody else was kind of noticing it too, but it's more been the IMs this morning that have kind of firmed it up for me. So it sounds like there's something kind of shifting in the energy right now, but it's just kind of this energy of pulling. It's a lot more pulling than what I've noticed in the last few even the last few weeks. So back at the end of April, we had a lot of activity that kind of, it was a lot of soulmates coming together, a lot of people that were communicating with one another, not necessarily to great ends, but it was happening. Then all of a sudden we saw a lot of distance start to form. And so we've seen it really sort of vacillating here lately. And now there's a lot of pull. Yesterday, it kind of started late in the day from what I was able to tell. And then today, just super heavy. So let's look into it. Let's see what's causing it. It's going to be a general reading as always, but it's a general reading for this collective. So it's absolutely not going to resonate for everybody. Shouldn't resonate for everybody. Like I always say, if it resonates for you, please feel free to subscribe. Please feel free to look at some of the older messages because the messages are timeless. And so you should, if it's you, then you'll probably have some good messages that happen in the rest of the readings as well. So again, with the Soulmate Snapshots, they're not always very long readings, but they go like straight in instead of dabbling around the edges and then kind of moving in and doing an extended. This is different. These go kind of straight to the heart of the matter. And so sometimes they flow a little bit more quickly and they may go a little bit more quickly. And then sometimes they don't. But that's the way that I do them. The spread will be very similar, but the energy is a little different. So we're finding out, why is everything so extra jagged in the energy today? Why so much pull? And it's like this weird aching pull that is stronger than it has been here in the past. So, or than it has been in the super recent past. So we're going to go ahead and start over here by looking at just kind of the energy of the day. I'll be interested to see what wants to come out for that. And right away, we've got the Page of Cups. Ooh, that is the energy of wanting to make an apology and the energy of kind of wanting to hear one. It's communication because it's a page, and pages represent communication. They bring communication. Cups are emotional. This is emotional communication, but it's also got that feeling of apology. Sometimes the Page of Cups is apology, sometimes it's not. In this case, it kind of feels like it's got an apology written on it, but it's got also, a few readings ago, we had I think it was the Page of Cups that came out, and it felt like the energy of both wanting to give and receive an apology. And this has a little bit of that. That when it came out the other time, it was very strong. We've actually seen it come out a couple times, and I think I've seen it come out in some of the personal readings too. It's coming out again here, just mostly that's the energy of apology, not necessarily that it's the person feels like you need to apologize to them also. But we have the Knight of Cups, which is about not actually taking any action. So that's why this is like the beginning of the answer that we're asking for. So there's a strong pull, strong desire to make this apology, to hear an apology, to have this heartfelt communication, but an absolute refusal to do so. The desire not to reach out and communicate, and this is coming from your person, is as strong as it is to come in. There is this feeling of their entire environment sort of riding on this. With the Ten of Coins, the entire environment that they live in rides on this, and they don't feel very confident about it. There's a lot of anxiety in the energy for them, and it feels like a significant struggle for them. Okay, here, that's as far as we go with that, and then we'll start on the next stack, but I'll go ahead and move through these first. So with the Ten of Coins, that's where we're seeing they're watching their entire environment flash before their eyes. Basically, So there's a lot of anxiety and a feeling of struggle in their current, in them, around their current environment. They're recognizing this. They don't feel confident about communicating to you. It feels like a complexity that they're not welcoming at this time, but they can't stop thinking about it, and they feel like it's almost something that has to happen. That's interesting because they won't allow the energy to flow, the energy of emotion. They will not allow it to flow. There's a lot of in and out sort of energy that happens with this as well, but it's not necessarily player energy. It's more based in excuse me, a fear that they do understand. So a lot of times the player energy, I may be skipping a step there. A lot of times that player energy is based on fear that they don't understand, so they don't always know why they're doing what they're doing. In this case, they have a feeling for what it is that they fear and why they won't allow that emotion to flow, because what we've seen is your person has some awareness of what they're experiencing. In some cases, they're unable to articulate it, but there is a lot of awareness. This is not their first time on this cycle. It's just not necessarily resolving for them. It's an important time on this cycle because it involves the soul recognition that they've had with you, but it is not necessarily making it easier for them to work past the obstacles or to solve it. And we've noticed in some of these readings that there's a similar type of barrier that exists in you, but not all the time. So that's interesting. There's something in here about you learning how to get past that. But there's also, okay, so in today's energy, there's also this feeling of the Three of Cups. Okay, so this is around a third party energy. It is not functioning in a favorable way, but it's more neutral than anything else. I would say it's more their thoughts around it and their awareness of it that has changed, especially with like this focus on their environment and this feeling that there's a lot of struggle. It's like they've overstayed their welcome. I don't know how to say it as any other way than that. This is the feeling of I've been here for too long. I've overstayed my welcome, and it's not even that they aren't welcome in their life anymore. It's that something there they're no longer seeing it, and we've seen hints of this in the past. They were seeing their environment differently, and it was as a result of having come in contact with you. But it was something that it was a truth, several truths that they were seeing, but having a hard time really assimilating. There's a realization here in this energy that things won't be sustainable. They won't necessarily just be able to go on the way they always have. This is a difficult feeling. That could be part of why we're feeling such jagged energy, because it's what's out there. But let's see what else we need to know about it here, because I feel like, we asked about why we're feeling this energy, and and then first question is what is happening in today's energy, and it's essentially here's everything you're feeling with a little bit of insight as to why it is this way. This Seven of Wands in the reverse plays out. We see it over here, but it plays a pretty significant part in this overall energy, because it feels like you're hanging off a cliff and you're not being able to pull yourself up, not being able to find the strength or the foothold, not feeling like you have the support even emotionally to do what you need to do. That's part of what's happening in this energy, and it is a difficult place to be. Your person's energy kind of having fallen out. They've had a realization, as we see over here in their life, that something they're not gonna just be able to sweep it under the rug. They're not just gonna be able to ignore it. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they're ready to do what needs to be done about it. They have to get to that place. And they don't feel very confident about moving forward. That's part of what's in that energy between the two of you. Because I feel like now that you're in such close contact energetically, because remember, in the end of April, your energies moved a lot closer together, and some of your people came through that door that you're theoretically leaving open. Others of you did not have that person come through. A lot of them, if they came through the door and started communicating, the communication it left a lot to be desired. But that energy of them stayed close to you. There is not as much connection to your higher power and to their higher power as there needs to be. And yet there are these secrets coming out where, You need this support. So there has been some growth, though. This is the King of Coins, and it is reflecting almost like the Emperor, okay? This is the High Priestess, and it is reflecting exactly like the High Priestess. It's all about secrets coming out because it's here in the reverse, but also a lack of connection with that intuition and that higher self on both sides. Not that you don't have a connection, just that you may want to work to improve that connection. But the good news is this is also a good time to do that, partially because of the energy that you both have between you and within you, because that's masculine energy that is feeling a little bit more balanced. And there's a lot of positivity that comes along with this, but not a lot of stability in the emotion. There's definitely this sense that it's almost and I can feel it. I hope it's not coming out in my voice too much, but it's almost like it's just this jagged, almost frantic sort of energy. It's fearful. This is fearful, not knowing what I'm going to do when I run across a situation. I feel like it's inevitable. This is your person now realizing that they've stayed too long in a situation, and they don't know how they're going to manage it. That things just got more complex because things were already showing themselves to be complex, but your person was doing a lot to avoid that realization. Now, though, it seems like it's becoming, if not more aware, like really conscious awareness, then it's close to it. So we have the King of Wands, and the King of Wands is a very can-do sort of energy, is able to push things through, is incredibly passionate, likes to be in control of things, is good at being in control of things, and is an excellent leader. So there is a lot of that in your person that they're trying to actually use some of the lessons that they've learned in the past, and they're trying to enact them here. And in some cases, that's being easier than it is. At some moments, it's easier than it is at other moments. They're trying to do this across their entire life, and this interaction with you is really just a part of it. Let's see what we've got here. So, yes. Six of Swords. This is one of those merciful moments where you get to stop and sort of reflect on things as they've happened, but it's not feeling so merciful because that reflection is creating some pain in your person. It's also causing them to have to acknowledge this pull that is happening so heavily in the energy. So if you all of a sudden feel like an even stronger desire to contact your person than usual, that's in today's energy. But it's not necessarily looking like they're in a great state of mind for you to do it. So let's maybe see what else wants to come out there. I don't feel like these cards are done coming out yet. Okay, definitely the Three of Swords. A significant amount of pain and heartbreak is coming out for your person right now, and it's not making them more articulate. It's making things even more difficult for them to be able to even to be able to discuss it. And yet they are drawn toward you because they feel like you're going to be part of what makes that pain go away. They feel like you're going to be, and this is honorable mention, but they feel like you're going to be that success, that win that they need. But they're afraid they can't get closer. In some cases, they've warded you off as strongly as they possibly could. There's a desire to let go and to just walk away, and they are not able to do that. So in lieu of that, they are digging in their heels. But they're digging in their heels, and I refuse to contact this king or this Knight of Cups in reverse sort of way. This Knight of Coins is basically a similar energy, so that's a refusal to move forward, not just a reluctance, but an outright refusal. This is more digging your heels in, almost like the Chariot in reverse. And it's an energy that you can probably feel this. This has got a harsh edge to it. And it also is going to attract you very strongly. There's that Page of Swords in reverse. It's a skittish Page of Swords, just an honorable mention. We've also got the Queen of Cups coming here in reverse, and this one is kind of the heart of the matter. So this is all about the pieces within your person that have not yet been fixed. It feels like codependency when it comes out like this, and when the Queen of Cups comes out in the reverse, I say that a lot, but it's really strong. It's really there. It's this feeling of, you'll notice it when then you'll be able to pick this one out with logic. So if you listen to the words, write down what you're feeling and then go back and read that. If it sounds nuts to your logical mind, take a moment to look at it and say, all right, is it just that my logical mind can't grasp this, or is it because this is a tendency that fits more in this bucket? And I think if your person were to do that, they would find and then really evaluate it logically, which they have the capacity to do based on what I'm feeling here. They have that capacity today to do that, but they are a little bit overwhelmed. They would be saying, oh my goodness, I've got a lot of things that don't stand up to reason. Doesn't mean they stop feeling it, just means that it doesn't necessarily stand up to reason. So it's something to be aware of. There is a significant amount of that they're trying to work through right now, and that's part of the reason that they're digging in their heels. This is a person who hides and runs when they start to feel emotion like this that feels like they might need to be more vulnerable. So let's ask that question that we typically ask. What exactly can you be doing about this? And a lot of times what comes out is what you need to focus on as far as a lesson. I wouldn't be surprised to see that come out again. But oops, sorry, that's not the card. I wouldn't be surprised to see it come out again, but oh, that's it. Okay, it's about lessons. And what you can be doing is going to benefit you. It will also benefit them. Not necessarily going to be comfortable. This is about going out on your quest. But remember over here, one of the reasons that we saw that there's the energy is like double jagged, because there's just the daily energy, what's hitting you guys, what's impacting you guys is particularly difficult. And then the way that your person is registering it is making it extra difficult. And so anything that happens that really impacts them from an emotional standpoint, from a psychological standpoint, because of the way that your energy is tied, it is not unheard of that you're going to feel some of that. Here, though, it's like you need to return the favor of making progress. So both of you have made some progress. And it's time for you to make some additional progress. But this is all about that search for what you truly desire and what is really going to make you happy. Not just, I want my person to come back, but what it is that's actually going to make you happy. Because if they were to come back, but you didn't have the rest of the happiness, then it would be short-lived. So, and you'd just be going through this cycle again. We've got options. The Seven of Cups shows that there are options here, but some of these feel like they're not available to you when they actually are. And you're going to be able to see some clarity around that with the Eight of Swords in reverse. I love seeing the Eight of Swords in reverse for you, because basically it's saying you've got a journey mapped out in front of you or laid out in front of you. You've got options you can't really see. This is going to be difficult, but here you've got the mental resources to see it through and to do it. You're able to handle this from an emotional, mental, physical, spiritual standpoint, and you're ready to go. That is not something that you necessarily would have said about yourself at all points during this, although it seems like you did recover pretty quickly, because the people in this collective have, even though you've gone through something that is incredibly challenging, I've seen an awful lot of growth. This is what was needed. You needed this anyway, but there's no way that you were going to stick with it, with these lessons, unless they were associated with a bond this strong. So now you've got the King of Cups here in reverse. And that's the thing that came out earlier with regard to a limitation, an emotional limitation that actually exists, not just on your person's part, but also on your part. So be looking for that, because when you come up against it, you may, with a little bit of practice, be able to actually reason yourself past that. So I'm not necessarily prone to saying utilize your logic to control yourself emotionally, because that is a problem that I used to have, and I have worked very hard to try and get past. So I'm not going to counsel somebody to leverage themselves too heavily in the logical. However, there is still some use for that logical, and sometimes being able to say, here's where we are right now. Let me take a look at that and see if anything sticks out. There can be some value in that. You don't necessarily make your decisions that way, but you can at least be aware that the possibility exists. And sorry if the camera has shaken a couple of times. I have totally kicked the table that the camera is associated with twice now. Because I'm doing too much talking and the energy is nuts in here. We have the Queen of Coins that's come out in the reverse. This is about a lack of confidence that rings out in you at the worst possible moment. Despite the fact that you've got the faculties to pull this together and you know it, There's this feeling of not quite having it together and feeling like there's still sharp edges on a lesson you haven't quite learned. So if learning the lesson is kind of filing everything down and making it smooth, this is acknowledgement that there are some sharp edges that still need to be filed down, which when you think about it, that's really going to be fine. It's just, it makes things challenging. So we've got that lesson that fell out and went on the floor. We've got that Nine of Cups lesson that the Eight of Cups in reverse is telling you to go out and do the quest for your Nine of Cups, your wish fulfillment. And what it's saying here is that it's not aligning for you at this time. So there are some things that you still need to go out and learn. I'm surprised that Hermit card wasn't right underneath it. None of those cards want to be in the reading, but I was a little surprised that Hermit card wasn't right. It like an admonishment, go do your thinking cave piece. We've seen it in some of the previous readings, and I can feel it again, so I'm just saying it, but definitely, oh, all right, we want this. That's the King of Swords, and we want this. That's the Eight of Wands. Oh, you're being pushed. You're being pushed, but you're also being told that there's some benefit to stand back and look at the big picture and really take the whole thing in, build your strategy, or at least your understanding from that. But the information and the energy is moving so quickly with this Eight of Wands that it may be particularly difficult to do that. All right, so it's not necessarily easy. It's not necessarily simple, but it is necessary for you to stand back, look at the big picture, and let yourself be somewhat leveraged in logic, not necessarily while you're making decisions, as much as while you're just evaluating the whole big picture. You can make your decisions with whatever balance of emotion and logic works well for you, but that's the thing. It's typically going to be a balance. Oh, we have a couple of cards in there. Oh, but they're not part of it. Okay, but we do have the Star card in reverse. That is part of the reading. And this one is talking about, and again, with the inevitability of this situation, but this is about release. So it's about releasing the need to know the timing of when you're coming back together or the nature of how things are going to pan out. It's about letting go and really devoting yourself to the lessons that are at hand here and taking out some of these sharp edges that are still there for you. And with that, I'm done pulling cards, but I guess what we're seeing is kind of a double-edged jaggedness with the energy that's coming at you today, you and your person, as well as just sort of what you're doing with it. Your person is making some realizations, and by all means, they're important realizations, but it's put them into a place where this would be a very rough time for them to have a communication with you. If you're not already in communication, you are being recommended not to go there right now, because they are doing a lot of struggling and realizing things, and they wouldn't be able to articulate even to themselves some of what's going on. So you're encouraged to give them the space that they need to work through this, because ultimately they're gonna need to claim that space for themselves to work through it anyway. We're all on our own journeys, and their journey, just like yours, requires some of the lessons to be learned while in separation. So you've spurred the lessons for them. They've spurred the lessons for you. It's time to jump in and completely devote yourself to those. And this energy, even though it feels like a pull to contact them, it's actually a call to jump into that energy. Put your logic on it a little bit. So I don't know that I've ever said that before, but here we are. So, and I value logic. I mean, that's absolutely part of how decisions are made for me. It's my comfort zone. But I also acknowledge it's not how you handle matters of the heart, at least not exclusively. So I'm going to leave it here. Hopefully this explains some of that energy that you may be feeling out there. I'll be back tomorrow. Probably jumping back into questions in my inbox, because those are really starting to pile up. And so if you have sent me a note and I haven't responded back to you, just know there are currently hundreds of emails in my inbox. I'm not trying to ignore you. I am trying to get to them. So I will get to you, but it's not always same day anymore, or even in the first couple days anymore, because it turns out there's a lot of you that want to talk, and I want to give you the airtime. So I'll get there. Anyway, I look forward to seeing you again, hopefully in tomorrow's reading.